Welcome back. Well, the State Capture Commission will resume at about 10 o'clock today in Parktown, Johannesburg. Let's get the latest and a bit of a recap of what happened yesterday. Mbalenhle Mthethwa is a reporter on the ground. She's covering the story for us. Mbali, thank you very much indeed for your time. So the former Transnet employee Gerhard van der Westhuizen is telling the State Capture Commission that he disagreed with former CEO Mbalehle's decision to reverse a decision to award a contract to Neotel. He said he violently disagreed with this. What was he saying in this regard?
Good morning, Blaine. We heard Gerhard van der Westhuizen talking about how he violently disagreed with the decision by Mbalehlle, who was then Group CEO, to overturn a decision that had been made by BADOC, if I can say. It's basically the committee that sits and evaluates bids, and they had decided to award to Neotel. However, upon Mbalehle's return, they were instructed not to award to Neotel, and this was concerning because let me just rephrase this. So he was concerned that a decision not to reward to Neotel, but rather to T Systems. And we heard Gerhard explaining that he was concerned about this decision because T Systems did not form part of the top three bidders. He said that the second best bid was Dimensions Data, and he would have preferred that maybe they would have given it to someone like Dimensions Data instead of T Systems. But he also voices that T Systems posed a risk because they already had another contract with Transnet, and you heard from Gerhard explaining that Mbalehlle had cited concentration risks by giving the contract to Neotel. And he explains to the commission that it's almost as though he was afraid to lose his job, and he was afraid for his job. And he said that, he went ahead and wrote the memorandum awarding to T Systems instead of Neotel. But you also hear that T Systems may have possibly been a Gupta-linked company because they had a partnership with another company which is called Broadband Infraco. And it's almost as though, Brian was working in the interest of this, partnership and this small company and this partnership which is a Gupta-linked company.
I think we have a clip with regards to this, Mbalenhle. Let's play it.
Mr. Mthethwa was then of the view that the 240 million, which again I believe you've seen, but happy to elaborate on it if I need to, we should include in the process, which would then imply that T Systems Broadband Infraco would be the second best bidder, and due to this concentration risk that Mr. Mthethwa articulated, that the tender should then go to the second best bidder, which in his mind was T Systems and Broadband Infraco. Again, I articulated that it may or may not be a real issue, but I suggest that we then investigate that issue and at least give Neotel the opportunity to respond, should it be a real risk, and to pose their side of the story, Chair. Again, Mr. Mthethwa did not take kind to the objections. He again did not respond from what I recall, and he just looked up at me with a glare in his eyes, which made me realize at that point, if I continue with this objections, it was not going to involve me, Chair.
Mbalenhle, MNS attorneys, tell us who they are and what do they have to do with regards to this state capture inquiry?
Okay. MNS Attorneys is a law firm that investigated the acquisition of 1,064 locomotives. Now, we've heard that costs did escalate during the acquisition of these locomotives. We heard that they went from 38 billion rand to over 54 billion rand. And we've heard various witnesses coming before the commission explaining that these increments were not justifiable, and they could not find logical reasoning for the increase, which was at the time approved by then Group CEO Mbalehlle. And the law firm is the one that investigated this, and they recommended that Transnet should lay criminal charges against Mbalehlle, as well as a few other people that are believed to have been working side by side with Mbalehlle. Some of those include Iqbal Sharma, as well as Salim Issa, as well as former CFO Anoj Singh. So those were the people that they had recommended that Transnet lay criminal charges against. They also recommended that former Transnet executive Siyabonga Gama go through a disciplinary hearing for having participated and basically participated in the word that I'm looking for is misleading, yes. For his participation in misleading the board, they do believe that Brian Mthethwa misled the board by telling them that they could, that Brian Mthethwa could approve the cost escalations without going to the Department of Public Enterprises. So that's the reason why they're saying that he should have criminal charges laid against him and that he should possibly be pursued to pay back some of the monies that were spent on that locomotive contract. But we also hear that, a lot of the companies that benefited from these cost escalations and cost inflation were Gupta-linked companies.
And just confirm for us, Mbalenhle, today the commission kicking off at 10 o'clock.
Yes, definitely. It's picking up shortly.
All right, we'll let you go then. Thank you very much indeed for your reporting. Mbalenhle Mthethwa live for us in Parktown, Johannesburg. Thank you, as always.